I spent one whole week learning Blender just to answer the question, can you learn Blender in a week? And with that, welcome to the last day of the series, day 7. All days of learning and doing these models came down to this, the last day, and today I'm going to make a kitchen, because that was the goal of the whole series. I first started with the kitchen aisle. For that, I added a cube, extruded it to fit the form of the kitchen aisle, then scaled it up correctly, and with that it was already looking pretty good, but of course it wasn't an actual working kitchen aisle yet. That's why I first started with the sink. I just added a cube, matched it to the form of the sink I wanted, and then used the boolean modifier, and with that the sink was already looking pretty good. Later I also added a tab to it, but first I wanted to create the kitchen cabinets. So I divided the front of it where the cabinets should be. After removing some edges it looked like my actual cabinets, but so far they weren't actually there and they had no handles. So I first started with the handle. I just added a cube, sized it correctly, then extruded the sides to match to the kitchen aisle, and my handle was done. So I copied that, moved it over to the next cabin. After that I also realized that my actual kitchen aisle had a little more on the right, so I extruded there. And then I used the handle for all other cabinets, and at the end my kitchen aisle looked like this. And with that I was pretty happy, but I'll spare you the other side of the kitchen modeling, because it really took a long time and it would just be the same thing again. So I'll just show you how I textured it in a quick time lapse, and show you the final result of the kitchen after that. And that's how my kitchen looked after that. I'm very happy with the result, and it really jumped my expectations from the start of the week. But now, we still need to integrate the models I made throughout the week so it doesn't look that empty. So let's get straight to that. First, I put some water into the sink with some dirty plates to make it look more realistic. Then, with another plate on the top and a cutting board that I made. It had no texture that I had to add after, by the way. The kitchen already had a lot more life to it, but still, there was nothing to cook in the kitchen. It means it's not a kitchen already. So I added the cooking pot I made, but when trying to add the cooking pot, I realized I had no space to even cook on. So I divided the space I made before, textured it, and with that I had something to cook on. So I placed the cooking pot onto it. After that the pan I made, and with these two I had something to cook with, but I still had nothing to eat. So I added the cucumber I made before, placed it onto the cutting board, and then I also wanted to add something onto the plate that was ready to eat. But the only food I have done so far was a tomato. So I added that on the plate, but then I realized it wasn't even cut, so I placed it onto the cutting board as well. I duplicated the tomato to make the cutting board look more full, and with that my food was done. But I still had some models to add. So I added the ugly spoon I made that I thought you couldn't see from the scene anyway, and a glass I made that I actually think looks pretty well. But then I realized I had nothing to cut my cucumber and tomato. So I added the only thing I had to cut, my big axe. Yeah, it was a little too big. So I scaled it down, put it into the cutting board to make it directly slice the cucumber. And it added a little Easter egg to my scene that only the people understand that watch the episode I tried to make a knife and then this came out. I really appreciate you guys. But the axe had no texture, so I separated the parts of it and textured them And with that, my scene was done. I definitely did not do some minor adjustment that you guys won't notice anyway after that. So I placed the camera into the scene and clicked F12 to render it. And after a lot of waiting, my final result of everything I've done this week was done. I'm very happy with the result, and it really looks like my actual kitchen. It's a strange feeling when I walk into it now. But sadly, that's the end of this amazing week. I learned so much from this week and had a lot of fun. I thank you guys all for supporting me and watching throughout the video. Tomorrow I'll upload a whole recap of the whole week as one big part. Stay tuned for that. And again, thank you guys all so much, and bye.